You are listening to War Story Podcasts. Once again, I'm Sydney Norris. Imagine you are 22 and enrolling in a university. You are finally starting the independent chapter of your life. But that's when an opportunity arises. A war is breaking out, and Canada wants to send soldiers to participate. You are given two choices. You can keep following the life you would always imagine for yourself, and maybe get married or start a family, or you can completely change your life's path and join the war. This was the difficult decision that hundreds of thousands of Canadian men had to make. One of them being Armin Frank Norris. The deafening sound of a gun firing, ending a life. This is how I visualize the harsh reality for the Canadian men who decided to fight in World War I. The sound was familiar to these soldiers who fought for our country during these violent times. This victim's determination, gone. His hope of seeing his family again, gone. His life, gone, as he fell to the cold ground. Lieutenant Armin Frank Norris was one of the many soldiers who died in World War I. He stood out to me in my research because of his many contributions to this war, making him a hero suitable for this podcast. Armin's life could have been so different if he hadn't chosen this ultimately fatal path. Before enlisting to join World War I in March 1915, he was a student at the University of Toronto for Applied Sciences. Armin was only 22 when he made the decision that would change his life forever: to go to war. He missed out on so much of his life by joining World War I, skipping out on some of the most important parts. But this hero decided to put his dreams aside for the better good of Canada. Packing his belongings, Armin traveled to France, where he started his intense training to prepare himself for what was to come. Although nothing could prepare these soldiers for World War I, for it was a war like no other. This was a war that would change Canada's identity forever. Early in 1917, Armin Frank Norris was promoted in his military ranking, giving him the honor of being trained in England for a year. In 1918, Lieutenant Norris was brought back to France as a soldier in the Machine Gun Corps. He took on a substantial amount of responsibility when being promoted to this job, including when his commander was injured and Armin stepped up to provide orders to his men. Armin brought his guns forward while being attacked under heavy fire and secured an unprotected flank. This act of leadership ultimately provided many other soldiers with protection. He replaced his commander without being prepared for the new risks that came with this job, resulting in his death. After all of his unforgettable contributions to World War I, Armin was shot through the heart near Haincourt while serving for his country. Although Armin died during this war, he will always be remembered for the sacrifices that he made to help shape Canada's identity during World War I. War heroes like Lieutenant Norris were examples of Canadian soldiers that were strong people who, through their bravery, formed what Canada is today. Although the story of one soldier might not seem like it could have impacted the war enough to change Canada and its identity, all of the Canadian soldiers fighting in World War I made contributions that together put Canada on the map after World War I.